Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is the right side of campus, and we are live Monday, June 4th, 2018. I'm your host, the big man on campus here, off of an interesting weekend, NBA Finals, NHL playoffs, got baseball, a lot going on. Summer's getting closer and closer. We're in the unofficial start of summer. Donnie Rightside, how you doing?
Doing good Monday morning. Hey, no better way to start the week than right here, right now with sportsbookreview.com. Give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter. Also, once again, if you're looking at the screen there on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down there. Each and every time me and the big man go live, even if we're a couple minutes late, you're still going to get that notification that says get in here and say hello in the chat box. And once again, this week, the promoted sportsbook on right side of campus, we are promoting Intertops. Slick interface, great odds, fast payouts. Check out Intertops, our promoted sportsbook of the week on the right side of campus.
Make sure also you retweet the show. Great way to get it out to people that see it on Twitter. All it takes is hitting that little square button. Very simple. Makes it out to all your followers as opposed to all of our followers. We have a lot of followers, but you might as well. It doesn't matter if you don't or you do. Other people may see it and may enjoy it. So there you go. Great power of social media, right? Let's get into the show. We'll get in with the morning headlines. We'll recap some things that went on over the weekend, some interesting things went on over the weekend. First of which, Donnie, a story out of the UK, which I found to be a connected story to this show. We go to Lancashire, England, Donnie. Lancashire, a scenic place in the northwest, right on the ocean. Very nice place to grow up, I'd imagine. You got Liverpool, you got Manchester not far away. Great soccer to be seen throughout your childhood. However, Donnie, it wasn't easy for one young man, a 13-year-old kid. Basically, Donnie, his father took him to a Wembley Stadium, a day out. You watch some football, some good English football. But little did he know, Donnie, that doing that, it would cost him a lot more than just taking the kid to the game. This kid racked up, Donnie, by stealing his father's credit card and committed credit card fraud, ran up an $80,000 bill on gambling websites betting on sports. His parents were horrified to learn that he blew a $60,000, Donnie, in a little over a week. Okay. No name has been provided. Keep in mind, though, the schoolboy started betting online after going to Wembley, where he saw advertisements for online bookies and on boards around the pitch. He was staking as much as $3,000 at a time and placing hundreds of bets a week. He claimed that he had no idea gambling could be such an addiction, like smoking drugs or drinking. It seemed like fun, and I thought I would make money. It was just far too easy. All I had to do was put in my dad's name, address, date of birth, card details, and check the box saying I was 18. It literally took seconds to register and start gambling. So, Donnie, the lesson here is I don't know if there really is any lesson here. The kid stole the guy's credit card and ran up 80K. How can you be that bad at gambling, though? I mean, like I know you're 13 and maybe you don't know a ton, but I don't know. It's pretty bad. I mean, how do you lose $80,000 in a week? Jesus
$80,000 a
Christ.
week. People, Twitter touts out there lose $80,000 every 2 nights. It seems like out there. It's very easy to do if you don't know what you're doing in gambling. No surprise at all. 90% of the people out there never see a cash out from an offshore sports book, so it doesn't surprise me.
Donnie, 80,000. I mean, you'd have to. I mean, you have to even by chance just win games once in a while. I listen. I get it. I guess it can be done, but listen, this is a crazy story. The kid said, "I'm sorry for what I've done. I feel like I've ruined everything, and our lives will never be the same." Well, I guess the dad though, couldn't he just say this was fraud and get the money back? His money should be protected. Again, I don't know how it works in England, but generally, money's protected up to $250,000 as far as if it's stolen
Yeah, but
by the.
well, how about this? How about this though? Let's play devil's
FDIC.
advocate. The father says it was stolen. That means that kid's going to go to jail for a long time. If the father says no, no, it's mine, I'll take responsibility, you're only out the 80K, and the
Yeah, I
kid's not
mean,
going to go to
you're.
the like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I mean, I don't know what the father does for a living. According to the article, though, he's some kind of company tycoon in some way. I don't know what that means. Um, Listen, I don't know if the guy has 80K to just throw around, but again, I mean, Donnie, does this make any sense? There's one other thing in the article. He said he started off placing small €5 or €10 bets on football matches and had a few wins. which was a massive buzz. He started going bigger and bigger. I was placing $100 bets, and then within weeks, I was regularly betting $1,000 a day. So then this kid just said, "You know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna blow all my dad's money, just because I feel like it."
Yeah, you
That's
know what? As
so
as a as a
yeah,
parent to as a parent to a kid, depending on how the kid is or what he does, like I might be just out there saying, you know what? I'm gonna send it
yeah,
into the credit card company as fraud so I get my money back. And if
yeah.
you do some time, so be it. I want my money back, you punk.
Yes. According to my apologies, the kid, the article's odd because it says 13, but then in the article it says he's 15. But he's still young either way. But yeah, you got to teach him a lesson. Maybe send him into the boys' home or something. I'm sure he'll get going pretty quick. Um,
Put him
but
on Scared Straight. Yeah.
yeah, he's a company director. That's what the father is. Company director. It could be a big company, could be a small company. Either way, put him in some kind of program so he gets help. That's brutal. The father found out by calling the bank and checking statements after the kid was seen around not going to school and skipping homework. He missed football training. Betting was the only thing I could think about. How do you, Donnie? How long before people over here make this? Well, maybe we shouldn't legalize sports betting because look at this story. This guy in England did it, and he got thrown out of the bus and then lost all his money. I'm sure
Yeah,
there would
no,
be
some
just
so, you know, some maybe a state senator from Tennessee we even blame gambling on porn as
good,
well. So I mean, it
good
can be used
point.
all over the place. Huh.
Good point. Good point. We keep it moving here. Um, Yeah, Chip Pyler. Unfortunately, dude, it's not the '60s anymore. You can't do that kind of thing. But listen, I mean, I would send him to some kind of home. Get him some help, some kind of rehab. What are you gonna do? David Griffin, Donnie, was in the news this weekend, and we were hoping it'd be because he was being introduced as the GM of the Sixers, but no, it's just him talking on the radio. He spoke to Zach Gelb on Sports Radio CBS, saying that uh, he believes the Sixers have the leg up in getting LeBron
Mhm.
James, not just because they're in the East and not just because they're exciting, but Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, also represents Ben Simmons. He's going to know the organization well, and he knows that Brett Brown is somebody that they're going to look at when you're LeBron, and you're going to look at Pop. You're going to look at the coach in LA, all the teams he wants to go to. Coaching is going to matter. So there you go, Donnie. Rich Paul. Who would have thought that the agent would make such a big deal?
No, yeah, that's what all makes sense. I mean, we've, seemingly beating the drum for months and months and months, reading the tea leaves. And then you see, coming out through various sports books out there that the Sixers are the favorite, and people are actually stunned by that. I'm not stunned by it one bit. The greatest landing spot in the world for LeBron James is the Philadelphia 76ers over everybody else. Again, gets to the point, folks. Well, why doesn't he go to the Rockets? Golden State will crack their freaking head in so he can't make the finals in the West. Your only shot is to get to the finals is through the East, not the West. Unless, Jeff, I can't fault him if he says, you know what, veteran minimum, I'll go to play for Golden State. That's the only way he's going to the West.
Yeah, I mean the Golden State thing. I People actually mentioning that that's never going to happen. The commissioner
No,
would shoot that down. The commissioner would shoot that down quicker than you know
how would the
y-
commissioner shoot it down?
because they don't because that would destroy the NBA. Commissioner would
Yeah, but you
block that
can't. The
totally.
commissioner wouldn't block it. It'd be a legal deal. The commissioner blocked that Lakers deal because it was an absolute sham. That's why that
The
got
commissioner
blocked.
would block that deal. There's no way that would ever go through. That would destroy the league. I mean, who? No one would watch the league. It would be. You think people hate the league now? I mean, no one would watch the league. The league would go. Well, what would be the purpose of the league anymore? So it's basically the Warriors have every good player, and that's it. That would
Yeah, no,
that
I,
would be
I mean, the Brewers seem
awful.
like they already have every good player, but I mean, you like that whole East-West thing. I almost just wish Jeff, like for the finals, like LeBron could just pick somebody off Golden State. Like, all right, I'll take Steph tonight and we'll play, and it'll be a real fun game to watch. I wish he could like load up because the finals would be great if LeBron had at least like one real player on his team with him. It would be a lot like Kyrie. Can Kyrie just come back to the Cavaliers, Jeff, just for just this series? It would be great to watch.
Yeah, I mean something other than what they have now. But Griffin believes that maybe it will be the Sixers. We'll see. We continue to speculate, but until we don't know until the free agency starts. Johnny Manziel, Donnie, is back in the news. He had his first preseason game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, my favorite team in the CFL. If you didn't know, I'm a Tiger Cat fan now. Johnny played in 23 plays. I got to tell you, it looked pretty decent, I thought. I mean, again, I mean, it was just preseason, but he was 9 for 11, 80 yards. Did have a little bit of a skirmish with somebody. He said he won't back down from people, and it looks like he played pretty well. I mean, he seemed like they didn't push him around anything, and he held his own. He's got to learn the rules, I think. I don't think he still knows the rules yet, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll be a starter or anything, but uh, looked pretty good in the time that he was out there. Mop up duty, Donnie.
Yeah, how's that going to work throughout the season? Like, you would figure like Johnny Football would have been smart enough to go to a Canadian Football League team that would just say, you know what, we want to sell tickets. I don't even know how many
Well, they
teams are
had
in the
his
CFL,
rights.
but like you go to like a bad team and at least he gets to like play and you can center it around that and he gets some like. What happens if he's not? Because I don't think he's the starter right now on the team. And is he going to be a
No.
backup in the CFL? How quick do you get to the NFL being a backup in the CFL?
Right. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, they had his rights. Jeremiah Masoli is the coach, and June Jones says he'll absolutely be the opening day starter. Yeah.
Who,
I mean,
Masoli?
Donnie, yeah, Masoli though, you look at his first in this game, 8 for 13, 115 yards, 2 interceptions. It's like, I mean, yeah, listen, I don't understand the thought process between signing Manziel and then keeping him as a backup. I mean, isn't that the reason you brought him in to like sell tickets and for people to come watch the games? And again, I don't, from what I've heard, Ian Cameron and everybody, look, these fans will go watch him regardless. But for him, it's not the best move because, like you said, this is not the first ticket back to the NFL being a backup on a small market CFL team. Uh, but
Yeah, and if
what,
you're the owner
what
on the CFL team, what isn't it just like help you out? Like again, because I don't really understand Canadian football or how it works, but I'm pretty sure they're not living the life of like the New York Giants, one of those type of franchise up there. You would figure just selling jerseys, getting a few thousand more people in the stands, or maybe a few more eyeballs of TV to sell some advertising rights would be the way to do it. If I was a CFL team, I would just get Johnny Manziel and start him immediately. Didn't matter who my quarterback was, just so I can make it on American TV on ESPN and Sports Center.
Yeah, I mean, and basically by you saying, "Oh, Masoli's our starter," okay, well, cool. Now I won't watch the CFL. Thanks. Like, leave it up to the question. Like, maybe he will come in. To me, at least someone
Yeah.
maybe even tries. Maybe says, "Oh, the Tiger Cats are on. Johnny Manziel might play tonight." June Jones says, "Oh, he's not playing at all." Okay, well, now I won't. I wasn't going to watch the CFL. Now I'm definitely not going to watch it. I mean, what sense does that make? June Jones, an
Yeah.
idiot.
None. Zero.
Uh, we move on here. Donnie, you're gonna have to help me on this last story. I'm not sure what you meant here. I reached out to you. I wasn't sure what you meant. What is this last story, Donnie?
The front page of we had news yesterday. Jake Arrieta just flaming the front
Ah,
office of the Philadelphia Phillies about the shift and how they're so above board, and the shift helps out. The Phillies are the only, or not the only team. There's two teams. The Phillies are minus 11 in shift differential. That means if they didn't shift at all, Jeff, they would be plus 11 from what they are currently right now against the shift. But the Phillies analytics are so bad that they're a negative when you shift. The only other team, Jeff, that's showing a negative is the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they are a -1. Everybody else is in the plus positive for doing the shift because I've always thought, Jeff, the reason why you shift is to steal runs from the other team, not give them free runs. And again, just as from a like betting perspective with the shift and everything, I can't stand it because I never know where anybody is at. Like how many times, like you're growing up in baseball, right, Jeff, and you're watching the games, a shot right up the middle, like a ground ball that gets by the pitcher up the middle. 99% of the time when I was growing up as a kid and all the way through the mid 2000s to 2010, that was a base hit. Now sometimes there's a guy standing right on second base to scoop it up, or a rocket shot down the line, and there's one guy standing right there, or a ground ball to shortstop to turn a double play, but nobody's at shortstop. The shift definitely is interesting out there. There are ways to beat it, but I just find it funny where you have all that, analytics at your disposal there, and it makes your team worse. Kind of makes me chuckle.
well, look, I mean, Donnie, the truth of the matter is the Philadelphia Phillies are an awful defensive team. They're one of the worst in the league. They have the third most errors in baseball. They have the third worst fielding percentage in baseball. And listen, I'll save this more for the baseball segment. Um, Listen, the shift is the shift, but they're not a good defensive team. They've lost games. because of their inability to field correctly. And I don't know about you, Donnie, and you're a Philly fan, so you could tell me. Um, it seems like Carlos Santana makes an error a game. I mean, it seems like he is king of the error. They have to get better fielding again, and the shift is a bit different. But in general, I'm just kind of adding on, this is a bad defensive team. Okay, this is a bad offensive team, and we'll get into that more in baseball. But it's no secret that they're a pretty bad defensive club as it is. A shift differential just adds to that. Jake Arrieta is exactly right. Yeah, listen, Jake Arrieta went off on a lot of people yesterday, and I think he's irritated, Donnie. Listen, I wish more players would do this. If I'm a pitcher, and again though, you look at Jake Arrieta, you could also say, well, I mean, then pitch better. I mean, he gave up 5 runs, didn't he, Donnie? I mean, did I miss
Yeah,
that?
it was yeah,
Yeah,
and it's and he scored. I believe the Phillies had like 1 run over the last 20 some innings, and the home run
sure.
came from Jake Arrieta's bat. So I mean, they're not hitting right now, but there is something to be said about the fielding Phillies out there, which brings me back to my next point when you're talking about analytics. In analytics world, Jeff, they don't really care. Like everybody's positionless, which I always love. Like it doesn't matter, just as long as analytics are in place, you could do whatever. So you have a young kid like Scott Kingery, you give some money to him. I mean, it doesn't really kick in for a couple years down the road. You sort of bought some free agent time from him. He's a second baseman, right? So you bring the young kid up and he's going to be a major leaguer. You want him at second
Put
base.
him at
You
short.
want him to focus on second base. You put him at short, you put him at third, you put him at center, you put him
Yeah.
at left, right, and first base like he's some magician out there. The same thing to be said about Reese Hoskins, who right now is on the DL with the jaw injury. It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm going to talk about, but he is on the DL, but he was struggling. Let's just say you're coming into Major League Baseball. You're red hot. You're a first baseman. You stay at first base. Phillies go out there and say, we're a positionless ball club. Let's bring in Santana, put him at first base. And hey, Reese, I know you had a really good season, but now I'm going to throw a ton of shit in your head and put you in the outfield now so it can sort of jumble it. Is there any surprise that he's struggling now when he's
No.
used to playing first base? Imagine if you're a National Football League player and you're a tight end and you show up and say, you know what, I made the Pro Bowl last year, tight end. They go, you know what, we want you at H back there. We're going to put you like that fullback position, but we think you'll be fine. But you do have to recognize what you're trying to learn out there and what you're seeing as opposed to what you're comfortable with. Congratulations, analytics, because everybody's a positionless player. You could just go anywhere, Jeff.
No, listen, it's ridiculous. I mean, the Phillies, and that's where, for me, Ian Cameron, I'm going to call him out for a minute. He mentioned Gabe Kapler the other day on Twitter. I think it was him. Listen, Gabe Kapler has not been a good manager. He's done dumb shit like what Donnie just said. And, we can mask it by a week or two that he was good, but truth of the matter, he's another guy that lost them games at the beginning of the season. We remember that. And this analytic crap has just really hurt this team and hurt some of these young players that they have. We'll get into baseball a little bit more here in a little bit. Wanted to say one thing. What was it? One of the chat guys. I forget what. Oh yeah, the Phillies yesterday, Donnie. I mean, the Phillies were a stone cold false flag. I mean, the whole world was on the Phillies. Line was going the other way. They loved Arrieta yesterday against a kid that had never pitched before. They were unfortunately a product of the good old false flag system, Donnie. But let's get into the NBA and the NHL. We'll recap that quickly. The Capitals beat the Golden Knights, go up 2-1, Donnie, in that series. And I got to tell you, uh, watch the game on Saturday night. They look pretty dominating. They look like the better hockey team in this series.
Yeah, Kuznetsov coming back there, which was a surprise to me because how he left the ice, I wouldn't have been surprised if he had like a forearm fracture, a wrist fracture, or a separated shoulder because, the NHL is like so coy with their upper body injuries, so you can always guess. But comes back out there, and that's going to be a key throughout. And they did look like the better team overall. Now, hey, look, Vegas is going to prey on you. They're going to forecheck. They're going to use all 5 guys. They're going to use their speed out there. But Washington is a pretty talented team, and they're on home ice again tonight, 2-1. They can really put that nail in the coffin of Las Vegas tonight if they can pull out that win. But great series. I'm actually I don't have a rooting interest either way. I actually would rather see tonight the Golden Knights take the win to push it to 2-2 and head back to Vegas for the best of 3. I would love to see a 7-game series out of these two.
Yeah, you mentioned injuries. Listen, unless it's like a broken bone, I don't really put a lot of stock into it. These hockey players, man, I mean, they'll play after getting hit in the face with a puck 5 minutes earlier. It's rare that they will come out of the game. But yeah, would have anyone have been surprised if this Kuznetsov had a separated shoulder and just popped it back in and said, "Oh, Let me back out there. I'll be all right. These are tough guys, man. Uh, Basketball. All right, let's get into it. Warriors in the driver's seat, and I don't think anyone's surprised by that. They go up 2-0. Listen, where's the help for LeBron? That's a great question. There is none. They don't have any help, and the problem also is the guy leading the team, other than LeBron. I mean, just he won't make decisions. Like unfortunately, Donnie, hurting them a lot by a keeping J.R. Smith into the starting lineup. J.R. Smith shouldn't be in the starting lineup after last night, and if he is, I don't know what to say. Second of all, it, I'm not a Rodney Hood fan, frankly. I don't. He's kind of an idiot, but I mean, you can't tell me, Donnie, he doesn't really have to find some minutes in this series. I mean, this is a guy who was with the Jazz, 17 points a game. He's, I guess, found the doghouse, unfortunately, but why isn't he seeing the court? I mean, you can't tell me he can't provide them something. This is just an absolute mess of a team. They're an 18, 17 win team without LeBron. You see it on LeBron's face, Donnie. You're a LeBron fan. You see it. He's a beaten man. I mean, what more can he do? What does he do? There's
No,
nothing.
and they showed the. I know a lot of people are going around. They have the extended video from Game One the other night, where there's no sound on it, but it just shows like from the very
Yes.
end of the play for the J.R. Smith play, where they sit on the bench. And shout out to the people out there to be like, a real leader would rally the troops. A real leader would do this and that. A real leader would be completely engaged in that. When you have 50 points in a game, when you put the entire city on your back against the best assembled NBA team of all time, and you won the game, but first the refs took it away. Then you had the wherewithal to make a dime pass at the end of the game to one of your players to trust them, and they go to the foul line. Should he make two, you won the game. He misses. J.R. Smith gets the rebound. If somebody calls timeout right away, you get a side out play. Or if J.R. just catches it and lays it back in, you won the game. So heading back over to the bench when the coach didn't call timeout on that play, when J.R. Smith ran around and you have the best team of all time on the ropes with a game one victory, how are you going to react in that situation? You're going to rally the troops knowing you have no goddamn shot in overtime, that the game was taken from you and it's a wrap at that point? Good luck with that one. In game two, thank goodness Billions was on last night, Jeff, because you could see it from the first quarter on. I know they made a couple runs in the third quarter, but LeBron, that game was getting no help. It's amazing that he had, 13, 14 assists? It's amazing he even got that many assists with those trash cans around him. I really enjoyed game one. Game two, checked out on it.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I think a lot of people are going to start checking out of this series because you watch this series and listen. I get Golden State's a great team and I'm aware of it, but it's at some point it's starting to get kind of boring. I mean, it's you want to see something different. It's the same old shit year after year. It's kind of like Donnie when you were younger and you know it's kind of like the whole like if you were in seventh grade, you're playing an eighth grade team. I mean, generally they're going to beat you time and time again. It's just like it's the same stuff year after year. And that's why so badly I hope like certain players go to certain teams so we can get something back into the NBA where there's a little bit more competition. I mean, it's starting to get boring at this point. It's starting to get watered down. It's the same thing every year. Go to Golden State, they win, and listen, I'm not taking anything away. Golden State's a good team, but again, I mean, there's really no competition that they faced. If LeBron had one other player that was worth anything, I think they'd be a lot more live in this series. I still don't look at this series and say to myself, and it's quite amazing, Donnie. I don't. Again, last night was a little different. I felt like the Cavs have quit in that game. But look at game one. I mean, it wasn't a domination. Cavs really should have won the game. And that's where, for me, if you try to tell me that you think Golden State's one of the best teams ever, I'd have to disagree. I know a couple teams personally that I think would beat them. I think the 2000 Lakers would beat them. I think some of
No
the
way.
Bulls teams,
Not
yeah,
the
they
way the
would.
game's played nowadays. Shaq
Who
would
would guard
Shaq would be
Shaq?
obsolete in the NBA. He would be
Shaq
obsolete.
would
He'd be
get
out of the game. Wouldn't be
Shaq would
playing.
Shaq
Shaq
would
wouldn't be
absolutely
playing.
them.
Shaq
He would
wouldn't be
absolutely
playing. He'd be out of breath after 30 seconds to be on the bench. There's no Shaq wouldn't play in this game. All they would do is,
keep.
and also Jeff, Hack Shaq would be on another level. All they would do is send 7 guys off the bench from Golden State to foul Shaq. They'd be down 21-2 with 5 minutes into the game. Be a wrap.
I disagree. But either way, listen, we can comment on that, another time. Either way,
Yeah.
Listen, it's Golden State. I mean, listen, they're playing well. They're beating teams, but I don't know that I don't know that I can. Especially this year, particularly, I'm not sure I respect them the way that you know others would. I mean, they're a great team, but I'm not going to go out and say like I think they're the greatest thing I've ever seen. I think if you gave LeBron one more player, I think this could be a quite a good series. And up until last night, Donnie, up until like the fourth quarter of last night's game. It was still a pretty even series. We'll see what happens when they go home. Maybe they'll get in a shot in the arm and win a game or something and make it a bit of a series. I hope for the sake of us, we get to see a bit of a series here, but I think we are kind of well aware this could be a sweep. Um, so yeah, I mean, the refs, I heard a lot of people talk about that too. Listen, they lost by 19. Okay. The refs aren't good. Can we get past that? The NBA's got the worst refs in the world. I mean, you would agree with that, Donnie. I mean, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's
I
too
mean,
subjective. It's just too subjective anymore. Like, and you saw it last night. Like the whole. I mean, we've known about this for a long time in the NBA, right? Steph thinks he gets fouled, throws up a three-pointer left-handed, complete air ball out of bounds. Everybody in Cleveland going the other way, and the refs are like, nope, tipped out on Cleveland. But that's just the way the refs are. How many times in the NBA do you see, Jeff, going to the rim, a little bit of contact? If he lays it in, no call. But if it misses, they blow the whistle 3 seconds later. That's just the NBA, man. There's no rhyme or reason there.
I will say this: I think in Game Three, I think Cleveland will win that game. I think Tyronn Lue has he's backed into a corner at this point. He must make changes. Uh, J.R. Smith should not be on the court. You got to start Kyle Korver. You got to give Rod Hood more minutes. You got to give some people more minutes. I think if you could do that, I think you might have a chance. But we could be looking at a sweep here, really. We'll see. That series back up on Wednesday. So we're gonna have a little bit of a you will have a Tuesday, Donnie, where there's no hockey or football or not football, basketball.
Baseball. Yes.
Yes, only baseball. What are your thoughts on Leroy Sané being left at the World Cup roster? I don't have any thoughts on it. I mean, you can't put everyone on the team, unfortunately. Sané is a great player. If it's my choice, he'd be on the team. Keep in mind, and he did have a great season this year. But Lowe is a guy that's won World Cups. He's probably the best international coach in the world. He's I'm sure he's made the right decision. But yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a surprise. But yeah, Donnie, when you see World Cup rosters, any roster really in sports, sometimes soccer's different because they're international, and sometimes you gotta, I'm not saying that Dream Team kind of you already know who's going to be on the teams. Sometimes you're gonna have to leave players off. It just is what it is. By the way, Donnie Rightside rooting for Iceland in this World Cup, so
Hmm.
I know he's got the Iceland shirt. I'm going
I
to send
forgot
it
about
over
that.
to him.
Yes, I am. Yes, I need to get a
Yes.
World Cup jersey. I could probably pick one up somewhere, right?
By the way, I wanted to talk quickly about that. There's a journalist in England, Stan Collymore. He has a show where he goes around and researches different soccer stories. And Donnie, I watched a documentary last night on Iceland, and like
Yes.
basically, do you understand? Like they have 300,000 people in the whole
Yes.
country, and
Yep.
like basically what they did was they basically felt like soccer was their sport, and they basically said, you know what, instead of because it's such a huge country, all these kids weren't getting to play soccer and they were, being left out. So basically, what they said was, we're going to create these massive soccer arenas and we're going to put them everywhere. And it's going to be basically camps where kids can go and they can learn the game and they can be grown up from kids to being adults. And I mean, it's quite amazing how they are. Like they all go to the games. Every like family in the country go to the games, and they all meet beforehand in like this square in the middle of their town, Reykjavik or whatever, and they have like beers with the coach, and they're all like very close, and they all know each other. It's very odd, but and they made the World Cup. I mean, it's quite amazing how a team like that was able to make the World Cup, and they are a team that's hard to not root for. So there you go, Donnie. You're rooting for a team that I don't think anyone would be mad if they won. They're not going to win, but still, quite the story.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's an interesting thing because even when you take a look at from the United States perspective, I mean, just imagine if soccer was number one on the list of all the kids in the United States, we probably would be like five-time World Cup champions. But when you're so far down, getting the slimmest of pickings, and you don't get any good coaching in there, I mean, that's what you get out of the United States. I mean, for a huge country, modern country that can have the best of everything there, for us just to not even be competitive in soccer, always maybe joking around since like the early '90s with Paul Caligiuri and company trying to get it done out out there. It's just amazing that the U.S., just the level of care for soccer is so low that we just can't compete on a worldwide. Against Jeff, again, you're right. Against places with 300,000 people would wipe us right off the field.
I mean, Donnie, keep this in mind. States with more or cities with more than 300,000 people in this country: Aurora, Colorado;
Yeah,
Corpus Christi, Texas; St. Louis; Stockton, California; St. Paul, Minnesota; Henderson, Nevada has more people in it than Iceland as a country.
yeah,
Yet
yeah.
they're in the World Cup, and the United States with I don't know how many, 280 million
More than
people,
that. Yeah, probably more.
yeah,
Yeah.
is out. Our largest city is got 8,622 people in it, according to the 2017 census. We can't. That's just one city. Uh,
Yeah.
Amazing. Good for Iceland. Quite amazing. Let's get into MLB. We recap what went on over the Sunday card. Keep in mind, people, there's only 5 MLB games tonight, so
And
not a
two have
ton
the
of.
Yankees.
Good point. One is a doubleheader, right?
Yeah.
So not a lot to choose from, but we'll get into that. Sunday is the recap, and we start out, Donnie, with the Phillies. I mean, no offense, is kind of the name of the game. Phillies just can't get out of their own way right now from the plate. I mean, no one is hitting. Odubel Herrera, what's he, Donnie? 8 for 54 or something around there over his last 50 plus plate appearances. You look at over the weekend, they score 1 run over 3 games. I think they've scored 1 run over the last 21 innings. Just a wretched offense right now. And Donnie, I hate to say it, but I'm not surprised. This is a bad lineup, and maybe I'm crazy, but I think when you look at this team on paper, lineup wise, I think they're one of the worst lineups in the baseball, really. I mean, there's not a lot here to like. And I know there's talent here. I'm not going to tell you there isn't. Some of these young players are good. And I think down the road, they'll be good players. But right now, on June 4th, this is a bad lineup. It just is. You mentioned their defense. Luckily, they've had great performances from Nola and from Arrieta and from that staff. But you got to score runs to win games, and they're not doing that.
No, yeah, they're young. They're not supposed to win yet. I mean, what their win totals in the mid 70s, they're probably going to be on pace to that. I think they'll still get that done. They might add a little bit at the deadline to see what it is, but this year's more of a feeling out because, say what you want in Major League Baseball, it's a lot of, creatures of habit stuff. And, if you looked at the past, 10 years and when we had that nice run under Charlie Manuel, you knew each and every night, Jeff, who that 1 through 8 is. Maybe you had the utility guy play for somebody on a Sunday or whatever it was, but you knew Jimmy Rollins was leading off. You knew Ryan Howard was going to bat in the cleanoff position. They know exactly where they're going each and every night. The Phillies are just playing, musical chairs right now to get some young guys in there to get them some experience, in the offseason, whether or not, I mean, they're going to get one of the three, the Phillies. The Phillies are either going to get Machado, Trout next year, or Bryce Harper. One of those three will come in. Hopefully by then you won't be playing musical chairs. You could settle into a lineup.
Odubel Herrera 4 for his last 29, by the way, as well. Last 7 days, hitting 138. So, I mean, other than him, I mean, you don't have anyone hitting over 300. Most of your core players, Hoskins, Santana, Kingery, Crawford, Altair, all hitting below 233. So, I mean, most of that lineup is struggling. I mean, other than Franco, Hernandez, and Herrera. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, you're buying the time. You're hoping that you're going to get one of those big time players. But right now, this is a bad lineup. Michael Waka. I talked about Michael Waka, and I want to pat myself on the back, Donnie. He was my pitcher to bet on last week's roundtable. How about that? And
Mm-hmm.
I believe I won my game on the roundtable. So how about that? Donnie, yesterday, Michael Waka was brilliant. He really was. He went 8 innings, gave up just the 1 hit. It was top of the or bottom of the eight or top of the ninth. Sorry, I gave up that hit to I believe he was Austin Meadows, maybe one of those guys. What a season for Michael Waka. He's just been absolutely fantastic for the Cardinals. You would have liked to have seen him get that no hitter, but what a great comeback season for Waka.
Yeah, Waka been really good. I mean, you're going to get some of these pitching performances there. He's comes with a pedigree that he's supposed to be good. So finally filling out there. I always get a kick out of Jeff when I see the St. Louis Cardinals. Every conversation that comes up, it seems like they're the one team, Jeff, that's like autonomous out there. They have 9 guys that are exactly the same thing to me when it comes in and out. Same thing like their pitching staff. Best overall, maybe scouting department in baseball is the Cardinals. Maybe the best overall, minor league system. I mean, the Yankees do a great job. The Dodgers do a great job. But just learning to play the game the right way every year, it seems like the Cardinals bring up 2 or 3 guys that are the exact same person you can plug right into the lineup. I've always liked that, and I guess that's why they had, what was it when the Houston was hacking into their system to see who they're picking and picking their brain and stuff like that. Hey, if you're gonna hack somebody in baseball, Jeff, hack the best team out there, right?
Right. Mets lose again, Donnie. This is now 29 of 45 they've lost. They've lost 9 of 11. This team is really struggling. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, we talked the Phillies lineup struggling. This is a lineup that's really struggling as well. Not a ton to look up and down this lineup. And Donnie, they may have the worst manager in the league. Callaway seems like he has no idea what he's doing from game to game. He's very mum after the games. Doesn't seem like he ever has any idea what's going on. Um, just another Mickey Mouse franchise, Donnie. The Mets.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, and it seems like the gift that keeps on giving to anybody who's a fan of an NL East team or even the Yankee fans, where you can always just laugh at the Mets. The single fact that they weren't forced to sell their franchise when their owner was running empty. Imagine this, Jeff. Everybody in Major League Baseball is usually has a billionaire owner and can print money out there. Imagine a baseball club allowed to function when they had to borrow money to meet payroll from Major League Baseball, which again, I love it. You get scrap heap guys. Joey Bats is on the team. Reyes is on the team for like the 19th time. No talent down there. They have pitchers that are coming out. And half the time, Jeff, I get a laugh out of it. Their pitchers go down with injuries. And I think the ownership of the Mets would rather see like DeGrom go down with an injury, Harvey, who was just a miscast and just sent out of town because he had so many injuries there because they can't afford to pay him anyway. Isn't it better for DeGrom to go down with elbow surgery and tell the public, look, we can't invest in a pitcher that's going to break down on us. We'll let him go because they can't afford anybody. The broken down dollar store Madoff Mets, not going to get any better.
Well, and Donnie, I listen, rooting for the Yankees, I listen to WFAN a lot, and a lot of the callers calling about the Mets, and I hear Alderson's press conferences quite frequently, and Mike Francesa will play them, and you hear his press conferences, and it's just like this is all you hear. Yeah, well, he spends like the first 5 minutes of the other press conference last week talking about David Wright. Like how David Wright's on his way back, and David Wright's good. I mean, come on, man. I mean, David Wright's not gonna play again. Get the hell out of here with that. But you're right. I mean, plug and play. Nimmo is a good player. Asdrubal
That's it.
Cabrera is still a
Nimmo is
pretty good
Drupal
player.
Carrera. Yep. And who else? Like Conforto struggling wildly. I mean, Guillorme. I mean, who are these guys that you're running out there night and night out? But it was all built on that pitching staff, which again, shame on you if you're just counting on the Mets pitching staff to stay healthy. They're never going to stay healthy. And that whole generation of pitchers that came, I mean, Wheeler was great the other night. DeGrom was great. But does it matter how great your pitchers are if A, they're going to break down, and B, you're going to get beat, 1-0 every single game? So, hey, that's just, and again, there's no help on the horizon. They can't afford anybody. Maybe Cespedes comes back and plays well the rest of the year, but there's a reason why nobody in Major League Baseball wanted Cespedes on their team, and the Mets got him at another bargain basement price to come back because they're dollar store shopping out there.
Why do I have the feeling, Donnie, BC is going to fleece them, and they're going to trade them like so and so for DeGrom, and they're going to just do it because they need infield help and they need bats. They have no farm system. I got a feeling Cashman's going to fleece them or something. But yeah, I mean, you also lost Juan Lagares, who was playing pretty well as well for you. But yeah, I mean, a mess of a team. Donnie, Miggy back for the Tigers. He's played pretty well for them. They've been a lock against lefties. When they have a lefty on the field for the other team, Tigers are a must bet right now. Against a righty, they're not a bet. I'd frankly probably
Yeah,
bet
good
against
little
them.
lineup they got. They're a good over team too. I mean, I'm going to start cutting down. The overs haven't been too kind to me. Sort of switching up now. First 5 innings, taking guys like Blake Snell on the mound, picking up wins yesterday. More of that. But we're going to get to a little bit of strategy here in a second in baseball and how it's turned. But you're right. Miggy back for that team. It's a formidable lineup. You might not even understand. Jeff and I talk all the time about that Detroit Tigers lineup, and half of them you've probably never heard of before. But there's some good, decent hitters on that team. Bullpen struggles a little bit. Don't always get the best starting pitching. Typically, that's going to be a nice over team, Jeff.
You talk about possibly, Donnie, the worst player mugshot in baseball. Blake Snell has got to lead the list, but he had a good game yesterday. 7 straight strikeouts to start the game. He pitched very well. against the uh, Seattle Mariners. Snell, pretty good pitcher, Donnie. We don't have a ton of time, so trying to go quick, but Snell did something yesterday you don't really see all.
No, Snow was good yesterday, and thank goodness I had it first five because you could see that thing starting to melt down and go away late in the innings. 2-1 win by the Mariners. Which Jeff, I know you've been beating the drum for the Mariners, and I've watched a ton of Mariner baseball this season. It is nice to get D. Gordon back. You want to talk about a professional hitting lineup that they have and run out there? Obviously outside Snell's going to strike everybody out, but outside of that, if you get just a decent pitcher on the mound, they're a great contact team. They got mixed power in there. You got speed at the top of the lineup. It just seems like D. Gordon and Gene Segura are just going to be made to get on base 5 times a night apiece, and you have a nice filled out roster. The only thing that gets me mad in Major League Baseball is the fact that catchers don't hit anymore. Mike Zunino is, just garbage at the plate. But outside of that, you have professional hitters up and down that lineup. That's a pretty good ball club, man.
We get into today's card, Donnie. Let's jump to it quick here.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. We'll just review it. I didn't take a look overall too much, but I know there's a couple out there. 951, 952. Tehran versus Richard out there in San Diego. Nice series for San Diego versus the Reds. Some bats popping out there. I did have the misfortune, Jeff, of thinking Harvey had at least one more good start in him, but he needs to be sent out to pasture, Jeff, topping out at 92 miles an hour in the fastball. No real breaking pitch. He got shelled in that game. Tehran's going to take them out here. It's a pitcher's ballpark there. 76% of the tickets, so Jeff, coming in on the Atlanta Braves. Line opened up at about 113, 115. Now sitting more or less as a pick 'em out there. 7.5, Jeff, across the board as the total.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like. Let me ask you a question, Donnie. Okay, like
Mhm.
you look at this line. Okay, why is San Diego taking money in this game? Can you explain that to me? Okay, you have Tehran on the mound, who's fantastic on the road. You have the left-handed Braves who crush lefties, and they crush them. They're hitting like 290 against lefties this year. And Clayton Richard has been very average. Why are the Padres a favorite in this game? It makes no sense to me. I was gonna, and Donnie, I was just being honest. I was gonna look at this game, I thought, and see like Braves minus 160 or 50 or
No.
something. Why? Braves are
Well,
good.
Padres been playing some
Padres are
pretty good
awful.
baseball, but also you get the old factor in there, Jeff. Seattle's or San Diego's been home on a nice long homestand. You also have the flight all the way across
Listen,
the country out to San
Padres
Diego. We've
stink.
seen it before.
The Padres stink. They should be a favorite in this game. That's a scary proposition. But on paper, the Braves should win this game easily. You might get real lucky with a good line here for the Braves. Listen, there's no jury, there's no judge, there's no lawyer that will try to argue to me that the Padres should be near a pick 'em in this game. It's a completely ridiculous price, and it has me concerned about taking the Braves here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those flags that you want to take a look at. Looks like we have some movement here, Jeff, in the Yankees. Looks like some starting lineups have come out. Keep in mind that first doubleheader, I believe, is a 1 o'clock start, split night there. It's obviously not a back-to-back doubleheader. 7 o'clock will be the second game, but we'll go Arizona, San Francisco, Godley and Holland on the mound. 69% of the early wagers, Jeff, backing Godley on the road here as the Diamondbacks take on the Giants. Line opened up roughly a pick'em, staying at a pick'em here. Minus 110 split, just about either way. Over on that one also, Jeff, at 7.5.
Yeah, definitely a dicey card. You have 5 games. Like Donnie, you said, you have one game that's 2 games that are the same two teams. San Francisco, though, playing well. They're off that sweep against the Phillies. They've won 4 in a row. We talked about the same old problem with Arizona. They can't hit. Derek Holland, I think a lot of people are generally you want to fade him, and Derek Holland's pitching today, right, for Zamarja?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, Holland's actually been pretty good. He's been much better than Jeff Samardzija has been. And Zach Godley, I don't know, not exactly a guy I'm looking to back. I think with the way that the Giants are playing right now, I mean, both teams are actually playing decently. The Diamondbacks won 5 of 6 as well. Kind of a coin flip pass for me.
Next up here, Jeff, you're going to have Kansas City and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Duffy and Tropiano on the mound, 74% early coming in on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Opened up heavy favorite, Jeff, 183, 185. Still sitting around that zone. Intertops minus 180, bet online 175. Sportsbook.ag minus 180, 8.5 across the board. Danny Duffy, as we know, Jeff struggles to get right-handed bats out. You should be able to get a ton of right-handed bats scheduled up against him today with that Angels lineup. I know Trout's a little bit banged up. Maybe he DHs. We'll have to wait to see what some lineups come out today. But obviously, Duffy not in the greatest position there, knowing that the right-handed side can get to you from the Angels' perspective.
Yeah, right-handers hitting 288 off Danny Duffy.
Yeah.
I like Nick Tropiano a lot. I think this guy's a pretty good pitcher. The problem with him is, certain games he hasn't went particularly deep in, and that's kind of hurt his ERA. But I think overall, he's a pretty good pitcher. His last two starts, he's been very good. 13 in the third. He's only given up 3 earned runs. Um, yeah, I mean, the way Danny Duffy pitches against righties, I have no real confidence. Or 3-9 when he starts. I'd probably lay the run line here. You need Tropiano to pitch well, though, obviously, and he's done that lately. I kind of like the run line for the Angels here. They should be able to get the Duffy.
Doubleheader here, Jeff. 9:57, 9:58, 9:59, 9:60 starts at 1 and 7 o'clock. Winds blowing out to left there in Detroit, so we'll get some action. Severino's on the mound. Do I want to bet against him? Absolutely not. Do I want to bet against him, especially with Verhagen on the mound? No. But then again, Jeff, you look at the line out there, sitting at Intertops at a comfortable -300 in the favorite for the Yankees in the first game. Over under 8.5 across the board. Second game, Jeff. Herman and Fires take them down 72%, again, backing the Yankees in that one. Another stealthy -195 at Chris. So it's going to be run line or nothing if you're taking the Yankees, or if you're just going to say, hey, I'm just going to take a flyer on Detroit. But with Verhagen and Fires on the mound, good luck taking both of those dogs today to try to cash at least one of them.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we just talked about it. There's no lefties on the mound for the Yankees, so you're not really getting any reason to want to take them. I mean, Drew Verhagen is. I mean, he was designated for assignment 5 weeks ago after struggling in the bullpen. Now you bring him up to face the Yankees. Listen, I don't, this is obviously very rudimentary, but the Yankees should crush this team today. They should win 10-2. I mean, they should crush the Tigers. Verhagen, you would think, has no shot. Severino's been absolutely fantastic. Um, Listen, I would think they roll here. Johnny Drama, aka Drew Verhagen, he looks a lot like Johnny Drama from Entourage. I don't think he has any chance in this game. I think Yankees win like 10-2. I think they crush the Tigers in the first game.
Hey, good. By the way, A lineups coming out, Jeff, for the first. You got Hicks, Judge, Bird, Stanton, Gregorius, Andahar, Frazier, Roman, and Torres for the Yankees. And then you still have a good Detroit. I mean, hey, look, you're going to go up against Severino. You're going to take what you get. But at least, you got Martin, Castellanos, Cabrera, Candelario, Goodrum, Hicks, Jones, Iglesias, and Machado. So two decent lineups, Jeff, with the wind blowing out. These some fly ball guys out there, but can you touch Severino? Is he going to give you that 7 innings, Jeff, 2 earned runs that he usually gives you? That'll make it tough to push that number over the total unless the Yankees batches come out firing, which again, they are kings of the home run, so they can do it.
Yeah, they definitely can. As far as the other game, I mean, I'm not really one to talk about doubleheaders when I don't know what goes on in the first game.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think if
Fire
if
stinks
if the
though.
Tiger, yeah, if the Tigers win or lose game one, which they probably will, I might consider them maybe in game two. Herman is, I think, close to being sent down. They have to have him up just because they don't have anyone else at this point. But I don't know if he has stuff. That might be a good over game in game two. It's been bet down to 9. That might be worth looking at in game two.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's only about a minute left here in the show. We'll go somewhere on SBR. We'll go over that another time. When again, we're talking about Jeff Tuesday. When we have literally nothing going on in the NBA and the NHL. So tomorrow
Yeah.
we'll get to some interesting stuff that we have coming up on the channels here for us. A little bit of fun we can have over the summer to guide us into football season. But time is running short today. You want to get us out of here, Jeff?
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hopefully, you have a great day. I have my trusty Athlon college football magazine here. I'm going to continue reading into that and getting ready for college football and to keep getting into college basketball as well. Thanks to everyone for joining us. We'll be back Tuesday. We'll go over some sports stuff and we'll also go over, like Donnie said, some new things we have going on the show here. So make sure you join us for that. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, every day on SBR Sports Picks. Have a great day. Bye bye.